Hello and welcome to another episode of Tax Planning with me, Bruce Workington. This is episode 3, Tax Planning for individuals aged 20 to 40. Previous 2 episodes have been about seniors tax planning and tax planning for individuals with families. Now today we're going to be talking with a volunteer for the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program, because it's a valuable part of our community and one where you can get your tax done for free if you meet the criteria. But one of the things that people say to me is they don't know who's preparing these tax returns and whether they can trust that they are done accurately. So we're going to interview one of the volunteers, Carly Wolf, here that works and volunteers here in Tabor, and ask her a few questions. So we're going to go and ask her the first question right now. Hi Carly, thank you for joining us on my YouTube channel. My first question is, why did you get involved with the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program?
To give back to the community and help those in need of getting their taxes filed.
So Carly, tell us a bit about the tools and the support system you get to prepare tax returns for individuals.
There is both support and training provided by FCSS and CRA. The software used for filing taxes is very easy to navigate.
So Carly, how would one go about getting their tax return prepared by FCSS? What's the first step?
Appointments can be done without contact. All you need to do is contact FCSS on how to get started.
And Carly, tell us a little bit about your background as a professional. What training do you have?
I am a CPA with 5 years of experience in preparing tax returns.
And Carly, tell us a little bit about what time of year you typically do tax returns for low-income people. Is it mainly in one time of year, or is it throughout the year?
I usually prepare tax returns in March and April, as most people like to meet the filing deadline of April 30th. However, they can be done year-round.
So Carly, do you have any closing comments about the Community Volunteer Income Tax Preparation Program that you can share with us?
This is a great program for those needing to get their simple taxes filed at no cost to them, as long as they meet the criteria. It is also a great program if you have experience in preparing simple tax returns. Contact FCSS to get involved. So
to dive into the top 10 considerations, the first one is always the prioritizing of savings. When you're early on in your working life, you should consider probably putting more into the TFSA, because the tax-free component of that, permanent tax-free component of that, is pretty powerful. And then maybe in RRSPs or unregistered accounts as well. It's very important to talk to your investment advisor about your different strategies related to the various different savings accounts. The second one is, if you're married, you need to make your RSP contributions in the higher taxpayer's return. This gives you the best benefit for your contribution, and if you want it in the spouse's name, you can put it in a spousal RSP. The third one to consider is making sure that they are considering significant changes to your working life. For example, if you're planning on going back to school, if you're buying a house, or if you're doing significant changes to your taxable income, either up or down, it's important to plan ahead and to see if there's ways you can minimize your taxes through various strategies. A fourth item to consider is moving investments into a registered account. I've worked with people who have lots of room in a TFSA or RSP, but they keep them in an unregistered account. This is a waste, because then you're going to pay tax on that income. So make sure you transfer those investments from an unregistered account into a registered one if you have room to do so. A fifth consideration is making tax installments. A lot of people get that letter in the mail saying, hey, you need to make a tax installment, and they ignore it. Unfortunately, they get charged pretty high interest rates. So with rates being low on GICs and other investments, it's always important to make your tax installments. So a sixth consideration is the consideration of dividends versus wages if you're self-employed. One would argue, we could argue about whether CPP is a good plan or not. For employees who have it matched by the employers, it's a no-brainer. It's 100% matching. But if you're self-employed, there is a way to file your tax return through a company as dividends versus wages and potentially change the amount you have to put into CPP. This, of course, you should talk to your advisor about because it is a significant change in your retirement plan and should only be contemplated if you've got other means to save for retirement. A seventh consideration is normalizing your income if you're self-employed. If you're self-employed and you have high years and low years, you can moderate your income through various means, talking to your tax advisor, so then you're not going into the higher tax brackets in some years and are in a lower tax bracket in other years. It's definitely worth planning ahead to make sure your taxable income is consistent from year to year if possible. An eighth consideration if you're relatively young is using your first-time home buyer tax credit. This is a benefit that you can use if you've never owned a home before, so it's a matter of just telling your tax preparer, or if it's yourself, telling or indicating that you bought your first home. A ninth consideration is using your home buyer's plan. This is a way you can take money out of your RSP for that the first your down payment on a new home, and then you can pay it back over the next few years. It's a way you can save money faster by using your RSP. And a final consideration, the 10th one, is making sure you claim all your medical expenses. It's important to look on the CRA website to all the list of things that are eligible and making sure that you are keeping all your receipts, and most importantly, when you're getting prescriptions, to go to the pharmacy and print out the list as opposed to keeping all the little receipts. It's far more efficient to have a printout because that's a lot easier for your tax preparer or even yourself to make sure that you claim all your medical expenses. Thank you for joining me for the top 10 considerations for individuals between the ages of 20 and 40. I hope I gave you something to think about in terms of preparing your tax return. And I'd like to thank Carly for joining me. She's a volunteer for the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program here in Taber, but there's also large amounts of people across Canada who are willing and able to help you prepare your tax return if you are in a low income position. Make sure to contact them because we've all gone through a tough time and they're there to help you out. So thank you very much, and looking forward to connecting with you in a future episode of tax planning. And make sure you go out and make a positive difference in your community.